know it's Monday. Feels like new car smell. First full week of November, coming in hot on used car week. There's just a lot of good stuff going on, and we got a little news, and it doesn't involve a strike. Kind of. Kind of.
Most of it.
Kind of doesn't.
Kind of in, kind of out type thing.
I think we're living in the derivative effects of a UAW strike for a little bit anyway.
Yes.
Exactly. I think by the end of the year, though, it'll be done. Yes. We won't be talking about it. Won't be thinking about it. Shawn Fain will be, sporting the farmer's tan in the Bahamas somewhere.
Although Shawn Fain, that like the new stuff is he's not sporting a tan. He's like, so I was thinking there's this brand, this OEM called Toyota. You guys ever heard of it?
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a second too. It kind of ties into something we're doing. But big week, used car week kicks off tomorrow in Phoenix, Arizona. There's going to always a lot of. I thought it was the 7th.
No, I think it kicks off this
there's
afternoon.
The date right on the screen on the graphic. It kicks off today. We won't be there today, but we will be there this week. So if you're on the ground, please come say hi. If you see us, we would love to talk to you, meet you in person, talk about some stuff. Kyle's going to be guest judging the Navicon Cup on Thursday, so that should be very interesting. Yes. He's excited about that. I can tell. It's right. So if you're going to be there, and then we're kind of like tagging right off of that. Going to have a day or two off, and then we're off to Palm Beach for the Modern Retail Conference. So we'll be there. If you're there and you see us, please stay hi. It's a lot smaller of an event. So if we're there, we'll see each other.
We'll see you. We'll see you. Yeah. That's a great event, and always just a lot of quality content around marketing and operations. So
for sure. We had a fun conversation on Friday with Steve Greenfield, who said, used car week is different than any other week. And the further you go down kind of the pecking order of the used car business, from like, finance all the way down to repo, there is a constantly growing amount of tattoos and piercings. I was like, so Kyle and I might be the clean cut guys for once.
We're the shaped up ones. How about that?
What's launching on Auto Collabs today? We have a podcast called Auto Collabs. If you didn't know about it, just search it on Spotify or Apple or Samsung free. Auto Collabs, Sodu. And we have a little longer form conversations on that. Today, we're talking with our friend Will McGinnis of Full Throttle. It was an awesome conversation.
Great.
Talking about the most effective sales tactic. Will he's buttoned up, man. He's super cool. You can tell because he does a lot outside of auto too.
Here's the thing. I love these because it's like we think about everybody, like whether in the dealer side of the industry or the industry partner side of the industry, that like the lines don't cross. But this podcast is one of those where it's like, oh no, the lines very much cross in how the strategy on leading teams or leading sales teams. And so that was the exciting thing for me on this podcast. So if you're leading sales teams in any capacity, listening to Will McGinnis of Full Throttle is going to be
worth your time.
Worth the time. For sure.
Hey, we got some people already going to be there. Hey, Shelly, what's up? She's going to be at Used Car Week. She says, see ya. So we'll be there. There's one person we're going to see.
I know a lot
more. I know. That's just the only one that's watching right now and made a comment. So
I love it, Shelly. Thanks.
All right, let's get into some news.
Do it.
Okay, so this is not directly strike related, but indirectly strike related. GM has announced a pay raise and improved benefits for its 43,500 U.S. salaried employees following a tentative agreement with the UAW. GM salary employees are just going to receive an average base pay increase of 3.5% in March 2024. That's nice. The company's also going to enhance its 401k match from 4 to 6% and improve certain medical and vision benefits. These are following, obviously, the tentative agreement with UAW, which covers 46,000 employees, a lot of those hourly. Includes pay raises and benefits and all that. So GM's like, hey, we're keeping everybody close. Here's a quote from the spokesperson, Kevin Kelly. GM provides competitive compensation and benefits for salaried employees benchmarked across all industries. Next year, GM will increase the base salary and the 401k plans and healthcare. So pretty like, I don't know, just pretty normal announcement.
Well, I think it's notable news only because it's coming off the heels of the UAW stuff. I mean, moving to a 6% 401k match, getting the pay bump, which you see like a 3.5% raise, to combat inflation, not massive, but at the same time, like it is notable because the pressure on all of these OEMs to stay competitive in the job market right now is extremely high, especially when you look at the UAW being able to demand so much out of its unionized workers. And so the salary workers getting some sort of love is important. And then when you just look, you're like, okay, so these people now have options. They got other OEMs, other manufacturers trying to take advantage of a limited job market and got to stay ahead. So kudos to GM for staying ahead, getting out in front of it. And look at that little 43,000 people making sure that they've got the wages to match their efforts.
Yeah. And, we saw Toyota last week as well, voluntarily say, here's a little bit more or a lot more, depending on how you look at it. Because like you said, it is a out in the open workforce at this point. Right.
That's the thing. It's out in the open. So you better be out in the open.
Speaking of being out in the open.
Segue.
This is like Diaz caught in the crosshairs.
It's a little spicy, this one. A dealer survey caught by Kerrigan Advisors reveals the trust levels that dealers have of their various OEMs. The annual survey shows a shift in dealer sentiment towards a few different car brands, with some expecting an increase and others expecting a decline in their overall franchise value. So in the survey, Ford was perceived as the least trustworthy brand by nearly half of the dealers surveyed, with concerns. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's more than 50% if you're an accountant. If you're a math kind of person. Ford was perceived as least, a lot to do with their EV or future retailing strategy. That is not surprising. Toyota, on the contrary, has emerged as the most trustworthy brand.
No,
yes,
you don't say.
Didn't see that coming. With 72% of dealers expressing high trust, attributed to its very thoughtful and measured EV strategy. So that's one element of the survey. Another one says that a majority of dealers remain optimistic about their dealership values, with 52% expecting valuations to remain the same. So obviously changes in automaker strategies, over-the-air updates, agency models definitely have dealers putting a ding in the trust. Aaron Kerrigan, managing director, stated, dealers' trust in their manufacturer partners is crucial, especially when evaluating dealership value. Survey reflects a dynamic shift in the industry, underscored by the strategic realignment toward evolving customer demands and electric vehicle strategies. There's a lot in here.
There's a lot in here. I think the big thing that we have to look at is, one, that everybody is kind of hedging their bets on the EV strategy of the manufacturer. They're going, is that the best way forward for me as a retailer, for an end user retailer? And are my end users, the clients that are coming in the door every day, responsive to the OEM's plans? And if those two are aligning, there's a higher level of trust, because if the OEM is recognizing the cultural demand or the consumer demand that's in the showroom, then the dealers are going to trust their ability to retail the wholesale vehicles to them at a higher rate. Here's the other piece. It's no surprise that everybody's like, yep, valuations are going to be strong. You wouldn't be seeing the consolidation or the buy sale rate that you're seeing still after 3 years of record highs of buy sell rates. You wouldn't see that if dealers didn't think that things are still going to look good in 3, 5, 7 years. So I think that there's a lot of just like good to be gained out of this, but it's also like, hey, look, OEMs, match your retailing strategies and your manufacturing strategies, and dealer trust will go up, profitability will go up on both sides. Like, that's the lane to best practice.
It's a great tie together, because if you don't believe that customers want what you're making, guess what? You don't think what you're selling is going to be worth a lot. It's a really actually clear tie. I expect we're going to see a pretty big shift now that the EV rhetoric has changed and turned to dynamic, like big time in the last 60 days.
Yeah.
I expect,
or the last like 20 days, really.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, right. Since like the strike resolution and things like that, it is actually the last 20 days. And so I think we'll continue to see the residuals of that play out all the way down through the dealer chain, because when, all the big money you're spending on EVs, customers don't want them. Guess who you have to rely on to move some inventory? The dealers.
Something called a dealer.
The dealers. Speaking of messing with that relationship even further.
Yeah.
Segue.
This is another texture to the same conversation, actually.
A little bit. We're just bringing in texture, context, around all of the things. Despite skepticism, Audi has announced plans to offer more on-demand features in future models, according to a report by Autocar insisting that the move is customer-driven rather than profit-oriented. Audi is planning to introduce an array of on-demand features controllable via their phone app in response to what they're alleging is customer demand. Tech lead Oliver Hoffman emphasizes that the motive is not purely profit-based, but is to cater to customer desires for new functionalities. Their current electric models already include advanced lighting options and a parking assistant with undisclosed additional features planned in the future. They did acknowledge that despite the challenges faced by BMW and similar endeavors, they still expect that this type of feature will become, quote, quite normal in the future.
So yeah, now
Okay.
I think the first line in the Jalopnik article is funny because it says the headline and it says, whatever you say, Audi, whatever you say, right? And so look, I do think like when they did their subscriber poll, they had some really like good insights into how people approach this topic in general. Great. And granted, it's kind of like an unofficial official poll, but it does kind of measure sentiment well. People saying, hey, here are things. They're like, would you pay more for a subscription, like on-demand service in the car? If so, why? And just give us your feedback. People said they would pay for faster internet. Very understandable. Here's some other comments. Heated steering wheel? Never mind. None. I wouldn't pay for any features unless they make the car cheaper. So there's obviously a gap there between people thinking like, does this actually make the car cheaper, or is this just an opportunity for you to get more out of it? One person said only features that continually cost the automaker money. So they're like, hey, if there's like internet service, right? If there's a tie to the expense, I don't mind paying it. Someone else said, I'm not willing to pay for anything that is not anything that is tied to the vehicle, like anything that's already installed, everything that I have the physical buttons for. One person said not a single one. I think this is it's a new product. It's a new way to pay for things. I think that subscription services have ramped up, and we do pay for things we have not paid for before that are software based, that are turn on, toggle off. But I think there is a big hump to cross when we're talking about things like features and equipment that are installed in the vehicle. There's just a mental barrier to like, wait a minute, it's right there. What do you mean? Like if I flip
here's what
thing on, it doesn't work.
Is like, okay, I'm trying to relate this because everybody, you start to relate a vehicle's technology to a computer or a phone, right? Because that's basically what they are. They are like massive phone on wheels at this point. How many things do you pay? Like, I imagine, you go into the GarageBand app and pay for a premium feature, right? But like otherwise, the things that you pay to add on to what's on the iPhone is other apps. Like native things are native. And so I don't see this replicated. The only place you see this replicated is by Tesla, literally the only other place. But they set the precedent of it, and they've always operated that way. But these legacy OEMs, like I don't see a precedent for charging for already installed things outside of Tesla, which is going to be hard to combat because they came to market like that. I just don't see a way that they're going to be able to go, yep, it's on the car, but you can't have it. And the funniest comments in the article and in the poll was like, hey, yeah, go ahead and make them subscription. I'll just wait for the hackers to get the ghost mode all figured out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. That'll be a lot harder to have. But I agree with you. We'll see what happens. I mean, everyone's going to try to squeeze out everything they can, and consumers will buy or not buy, and that'll change the behavior. It's called business. Whatever's happening today, go out there, do some good business, take care of some people, love people more than you love cars. We'll see you tomorrow.